This week, I was lucky enough to get to go with an urban sketching group and paint inside the Portland Nursery. This was an especially great treat since at this time of year it can get pretty cold outside and oftentimes it's really wet and rainy too. So we got really lucky to be able to be inside the greenhouses where it was nice and warm and a little bit humid. The nursery was still open for business, so there's plenty of customers wandering around shopping for plants, and occasionally they'd be surprised and discover an artist among the leaves.
Fancy setup.
Thanks. It's taken a while to perfect it.
Mind if I ask what the wiring is?
I make YouTube videos. How fun! Perhaps I made a new fan. I knew that the group was going to work quickly, so I very rapidly chose a subject and started to get to work right away, because I knew as a sketching group they weren't going to spend too much time working on each item. One of the things I love about nurseries and that conservatory type of feel is the plants hanging from rods around the greenhouse. So I decided to try to capture that, and I really wanted to focus in and simplify my subject because, again, I had to work quickly to get this done. I focused in on one particular row of hanging plants and just basically tried to get the plants around it, and then I was sort of waiting for somebody to walk under so that I could put a head under the row and make it look like they're well above head height. So it took a little bit of waiting, and of course people would walk by so quickly, probably because there's an artist standing there painting. So eventually I ended up having to ask somebody to stop there and get a head in place. The way that I approached this painting was really to try to get the gradient in the background of the glass from the roof. So it was actually a bit more blue and light blue at the top, and it actually kind of went slightly purple as it went down the slope of the greenhouse roof. So I really just wanted to get that in first as quickly as I could and then put everything else on top of it. One of the issues I ran into was not mixing up enough paint. I was actually using some dried up gouache that I had left on my palette from a previous time. So it was really difficult to get a good pool of one color. So I ended up having to keep remix the colors. And that also made it difficult to match the color that I already had, especially since gouache actually looks a different color when it's wet than when it dries. So this made it a little bit more challenging. But of course the show must go on, so I just continued painting, keeping on doing my best that I could. And I actually really liked the way this one came out. I think I chose a really fun color scheme, and I really enjoyed the process. And again, getting the luxury of being able to paint inside when it's really cold outside was wonderful. Got to be in the tropical paradise of Portland Nursery. As for approaching these leaves, as I'm going to be doing a lot of leaves, I really think that I handled this bush a bit incorrectly. I really wish I would have rather put a dark green first and then built up the leaves over the top of that, because the way that I did it, I ended up having to go back in and put in some of the darks around the leaves, and I just don't think that it worked really well and made a lot more work for myself. So don't do what I did. For this painting, I felt pretty rushed, and for good reason, since I ended up staying about 45 minutes longer than everybody else. Everybody went to lunch, and I continued to keep painting. But I really tried as hard as I could to just work quickly and try to get everything in, getting the other ferns in and trying to get the vertical rods that are holding everything up in place was important. I really did want to put in the glass frames around the windows in the back, so like having a kind of diagonal glass windows in the back, but I just didn't have the time, so I was happy with at least getting the gradient in. At this point is when the other artists were leaving, and so I asked my fellow artist here, Ken, if he could stand in and be my model for getting the head into my painting. At this point, I was feeling really rushed, and I knew that we had to get going, and those that were going to the lunch were going to be leaving, so I really tried to get the head in like 5 minutes. I was frantically trying to get it done and get it in quickly, so it did come out a little bit cartoony, but I don't care. At least I got my head in there, and I didn't have a big white spot waiting, so I feel pretty good about that. And of course, towards the end, was saving the details for the thing that attracted me to this painting in the first place were these pots hanging, and I'm not really sure what kind of plants they were, but they were kind of like little teeny tiny leaves, and I just really liked the details of them and the wires hanging and the color contrast between the pots and the greenery. So of course, the very last thing that I get to do is put in the details of these hanging pots. And of course, the many, many blades of these tropical ferns. So a word of advice, don't bite off more than you can chew in the allotted time frame. Make sure that you can finish your painting within the time that you have. And so you want to make sure to keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple for limited time paintings.